Well, we're going to turn another piece of black walnut today. This is a small scrap. We'll call it a scrap. It's been kicking around my shop for probably at least 8 years. I got this and a lot of other really nice wood from a garage sale. My wife had noticed in Craigslist that there was a garage sale close to us that had turning stock. She said, "Oh, you might be interested in that." So we went over there and I came home with quite a bit of turning stock. Beautiful macadamia log that I got. I got 2 huge slabs of black walnut and a couple of pieces like this. I'll go ahead and turn this. Instead of it being a scrap, I think it's going to be a nice little vase. So I think it's about 5.5 inches long, somewhere between 4 3/4 and 4.5 inches on the ends. So I'm going to get it between the centers. I'll make it round, I'll put a tenon on there, and we'll start creating a shape. Alright, we're going to start out with a tool that I don't use all that often, but it's a spindle roughing gouge. I believe it's 1.25 inches, doing about 890 RPM. Okay, I'm going to use this badon to put a tenon on the end here. Alright, I'm going to get it on the chuck now. Alright, got it in the chuck. I sort of have an idea what I want to make here, but who knows where it's going to end up. 5/8 bowl gouge, and should be doing about 900 RPM. Yep, there comes that heartwood. Look at this interesting strip right here. Oh, there's on the end of it, it's like a little point, and it shows up here. I'll have to show you that end before I cut it away. You can see it right here, right there, and right here. It's just a little, and we have it right there. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's pretty cool. So these little stripes that I just showed, it's like right here, there's just like a little point of the black walnut there. And then there's one here, and there's one here. I think that's pretty cool. And then there's one right there. Okay, I thought that was so interesting I needed to show you because I think it's going to get turned away. I'm going to switch to a 1/2 inch bowl gouge. I'm not sure where I'm headed because I wanted to make something with a skinny tapering stem on it. And I think I still want to, but sort of liking what that looks like. I'm halfway in between of what I was thinking. I sort of like that. I probably should take it inside and get some ideas. Let's work on that base. Down in that base area, that is. I think we're done with that. I'm then going to go in here and put a shape on the inside and be drilling it out. It'll just be a single flower. I'll probably have enough room for some sort of a tube. Alright, that's kind of a start. I'm going to get the center back up against it so that I can finish cleaning this up. So, I'm not liking the looks of that rim up there. I'm going to try something. I hope I don't regret it. Nope, I don't regret it. There was something bothering me, and that was it. It looked silly. Okay, much better. It just didn't look with that little flat parallel ring around the top. And now that I've done that, I want to take some more out of here. Over it with the scraper, see if we can blend it. Okay, I'm going to get set up and drill a hole in here. Okay, time to drill some holes. This is about 1 3/4 inches right there. Maybe I can get down to 1.5 inches, but I'm going to work my way down. That's probably 1.25 inches maybe. It's usually always better to come back up when you're cutting on end grain, but this piece kept wanting to pop out of the chuck, and it turned pretty clean going downhill, so I'm happy with that because we're about ready to do some sanding. Alright, time to do some sanding. I'm going to run the lathe in reverse at around 300 RPM. Start with 120 grit. We'll get that sanded up to 400, and I'll just sand a little ways down on the inside here, doing it the same way. Alright, today I've decided on the water-based sanding sealer, and then I'll use the polyacrylic on top of it. One reason that I was going to do this, I was going to do it anyways, but I've had a couple questions about how to get this on without having a bunch of streaks and roughness. So I think I do have a video on that, but while I'm putting this on, I'll try to explain it. So don't put too much on. That's the only thing you have to be careful of. And make sure, see, there's a streak of finish here, but you just keep rubbing it until you don't have any streaks. And you're not trying to put all the finish on with one layer. Maybe 4 layers of this. This is sanding sealer. It'll soak in. More than likely, it'll be a little fuzzy because it's a water base that tends to raise grain. So you're going to do that, and I'm not worried about, a real smooth finish here because it's the first coat. And after that, you got to be even more careful to wipe it down, wipe it out, so you don't see streaks. Like I can see some here, but I put a lot on the first layer. So that's one way to keep it from being rough and streaky. So I'll come back when I do the polyacrylic and I'll explain it again. I've got 2 coats of the sanding sealer on, and I meant to show you after the first one that sometimes the grain will raise depending on the wood using the sanding sealer. Then I'll use 400 grit paper and I'll just look for those spots. And matter of fact, something this small, I'll just sand the whole thing. It sands really easily. You can see the white showing up there. That's the sanding sealer. And I'm just going to wipe that off like so. And we'll take this Scotch-Brite pad and I'll run this pretty fast. And then I'll just go over it like so. And now it's very, very smooth. So I'll put some polyacrylic on, which looks a lot like it. It's a little bit thicker, kind of the same thing. I should put a glove on, but I don't worry too much about the polyacrylic. So now we're looking to not really put a very thick layer on. If you do get it on thick, it'll just wipe right down like so. Make sure everything's covered. Let that dry and do it again. And very likely you might want to hit it with the Scotch-Brite in between coats. Alright, that's it. So I'll probably get 1, maybe 2 more coats of the polyacrylic on. We'll come back in, we'll get it flipped around and remove that tenon. Alright, I'm going to call that good. Well, nature has done it again. Look at this beautiful piece of black walnut. It's just an amazing piece of wood. Look at all that contrast. It's such a sharp contrast between the heartwood and the sapwood. It's just really cool. What I really like is these little strips of heartwood that showed up. And I've got it over here too. So when this got turned into a good cylinder, I could see the strips of that dark wood there. I decided I really need to keep that in there. So that was the beginning of my shape right there, and I got the rest of it up here, and I think it looks pretty cool. Finished 5 inches tall, 3 5/8 in diameter. I used Minwax water-based sanding sealer and Minwax polyacrylic, 2 of the sanding sealer and 4 or 5 of the polyacrylic. I then went over it with the Axe sanding paste and the Axe polishing paste. So I don't get anything to tell you what I use. I'm telling you what I use because when I find something I like and it really works good, I want to share that information. So I sure hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed turning this piece of beautiful black walnut. Thanks for watching. Be sure to let me know if you liked the video. A thumbs up would be great. But I also love reading your comments, and I will do my best to answer them all. A special thanks to all my subscribers, and if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. I do all types of turnings, and feel free to let me know what you'd like to see. Thanks again, and until the next time, see you later.
As the chips fall.
As the chips fall.